If I can't keep my head held high enough, I'll just speak love and watch the smiles come, bring my spirits up. There's some shit I like to fix, but I still know that I'm blessed.
All right, welcome back. We're going to finish up our Willie Nelson book, Pretty Paper, the holiday book by Willie Nelson. And moving on, we're on the chapter titled High Society. I got the idea from a movie starring Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Grace Kelly. It's a fluffy love story about rich folks in Newport, Rhode Island. The final scene, a fancy wedding, takes place in a mansion when all of a sudden Louis Armstrong and his all-stars appear outside on the patio and start blowing their brand of hot jazz. The film's called High Society. I need a favor, I asked Cynthia when I called her the day after my Denton trip. What kind of favor? Well, seems as though my promoter found me some bookings in the Dallas area. Looks like I'll be staying in Fort Worth through the holidays. Your family back in Nashville can't be too happy about that. By now, they're used to living with the traveling troubadour. If I can, I'm going to bring them down here for New Year's Eve. In the meantime, my band needs a place to rehearse. I got some new tunes to woodshed, and I was wondering if your pool house is available. Silence on the other end. By any chance, are these songs that Vernon could sing? Cynthia asked with a smile on her voice. I suspect so, or maybe he has his own songs he could teach us. You mentioned any of this to him? I'm thinking this might be one of those times when action is better than words. What do you think will happen if I just show up with the band? We'll just have to see, won't we? Me and the band arrived the next day around 2 p.m. Cynthia led us out to the pool house where Vernon was in the middle of his weightlifting routine. Under his tank top, his muscular torso was covered in sweat. What the hell was the first thing he said when he saw me standing there with my Martin guitar. Behind me was Brother Paul, hauling his drum gear, plus our bass player and lap steel guitarist. No worries, Vernon, I said. Cynthia said it was okay. We just need a place to practice. I ain't in no mood, Vernon began to complain. There's nothing for you to do, I explained. Just keep pumping that iron. We'll stay out of your way. Before Vernon could complain anymore, we walked into the room and started setting up. He turned his back to us and kept lifting weights. 15 minutes later, we were ready to get underway. By then, Vernon had lifted himself onto his cart and wheeled himself into the bathroom and shut the door. Okay, boys, I said. Let's see if we can do a version of that song they've been playing on the radio. Folks seem to like it. Let's see. Go something like... I started singing Crazy Love is Good Love, the current Bambi Love hit. The band followed along, and soon it all fell into place. We ran it down several times before the bathroom door opened, and Vernon came out, pushing his cart until he was right next to me. That's my song, he said. That's Wild Country Night. No, sir, Bambi loves singing it on the radio and saying she wrote it with her producer, Slick Walters. She says it's Crazy Love is Good Love. Marla, said Vernon. That's Marla doing nothing but switching up the lyrics. The original lyrics made sense. These don't. How'd the original lyrics go, I asked. Despite himself, Vernon started singing. Peaceful afternoon, sunny and bright, then the day gives way to a wild country night. Everyone will be dancing till we all reach the heights and have ourselves a ball on this wild country night. God bless my band, because the second Vernon hit his first note, we were right there behind him, as if we'd been his backup for years. I know he was amazed. I know he was moved. I know because he didn't stop singing. He sang the song 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Each time, he and we sounded better. Each time, he grew more animated, bending the notes and gesturing with his hands. It was a feel-good, kick-ass party song, making all of us feel great. Hell of a tune you wrote there, I said. Now what about this one Bambi calls Something I Got? You heard this? Without waiting for Vernon's answer, I broke into Bambi's version. You were living your life with nothing to do till everything changed when I came through. I got your attention whether you liked it or not, 'cause baby, it's all about that something I got. Something I got. I didn't learn it in no school. Something I got. Made you my fool, something I got, and it ain't no shame, something I got. Got you calling my name. Where'd you hear that? Asked Vernon. On the radio, I said. Don't you ever listen to the radio? Never. And Marla was singing it? Calling herself Bambi and telling the world she wrote it. She stole it! Let's hear the original she stole it from. Without hesitating, Vernon launched into his version. After the first chorus, me and the band found the right notes and came in to back him up. I was a lonely soul with nothing to do, but everything changed the day I met you. You grabbed my attention and cold turned to hot, all 'cause of the certain something you got. Something you got. They don't teach it in school. Something you got made me break all the rules. Something you got has me down on my knees. Something you got me pleading, please, please, please. He sang so forcefully, so passionately, so sincerely that me and my musicians couldn't help but respond to his performance with hoots and hollers. Hearing the reaction, Vernon had to smile. Marla sang it on the record, he said. I know, I said, but she didn't sing it like that. I wasn't into singing then. You sang Faith, I reminded him. You sang it beautifully. You made it a hit. Want to try to sing it now? Before he could answer, I played the first notes on my guitar. That got him to singing. Thank you for your faith. I'm not sure I deserve it. Thank you for your faith. I'm not sure I preserved it. I know it's a gift. I can feel it pure and true. Thank you for your faith. I'll always have faith in you. I could see Vernon choking back tears. I wanted to tell him to let go, to let the tears flow, but I knew the best thing I could do was shut up and keep playing. How about Dreamin' in Blue? Man, said Vernon, you really know my stuff. Been listening to it, I said, been liking it. Marla sang Dreamin' in Blue. She nailed it. Is this another one she's copied? You guessed it. She calls it Dreamin' of You. So what in the hell did she and her producer do? Did they steal every last song of mine? Something like that, I said. But don't think about that now. Just see if you can remember the original. Vernon began singing, and it didn't take long for us to chime in with the right musical accompaniment. Spend my days looking for you, then spent my days dreaming in blue. Dreaming you'd come back, faithful and true, so I could stop crying and dreaming in blue. Dreaming of happiness and a life brand new. Guess I'll just go on dreaming in blue. I also explained to Vernon how his cheatin' days had been changed into cheatin' ways. He just shook his head in wonder and dismay before breaking into the original version. Because I'd listened to his record so many times and made my band listen as well, I knew all Vernon's songs. Like most songwriters, he hadn't forgotten a note or lyric of what he'd written. Going from one tune to another, from his cheatin' days and leaving Ain't the Last Thing on My Mind, we barely gave him time to catch his breath. He even agreed to a special request. Skeeter's Easy Going, a song he sang with relaxed charm and a big smile on his face. I wondered if by asking him to sing Surprising Love, a song he wrote with Jill, I would be pushing him too far. I decided not to ask him, but much to my delight, he sang it on his own volition. I could see that whatever attitude he tried to cling to when we'd begun now was transported. Now he was in another place altogether, a place where the music, his music, took hold of him and had him energized, and I'd even say happy. Yes, for the first time ever, I saw that Vernon Clay, singing these songs in a voice filled with power and purpose, was a happy man. 2 hours after we started, I asked him, "How you feeling, man?" "Not bad, but what happens now?" "That's up to you." And then here's a picture of the guitar leaning up against the stool. And next will be the chapter titled The Longhorn Ballroom. I got a funny story about Dewey Groom, the owner of the Longhorn Ballroom over in Dallas. This also happened in the strictly segregated 1960s. Just 'cause he was so great, I had Charlie Pride, the then unknown black country singer, get on stage with me. When Dewey saw what I'd done, he went nuts. To add to the fun, I responded by kissing Charlie full on the mouth. Naturally, that enraged Dewey even more, but once Charlie started singing, the beauty of his voice quickly calmed Dewey down. In somewhat similar fashion, I knew Dewey wouldn't take well to the news that my band would be featuring a singer who'd be singing from a wheelchair. It was 2 weeks before Christmas, when the club was always crowded. It's a time, said Dewey, when folks want to dance. Seeing some guy in a wheelchair don't make nobody want to dance. Half of 'em are too drunk to notice who's singing, I said. I don't like the idea. I do. It's my band, and I'm doing it. Except I didn't. Because Vernon flat out refused to come out of the house when we went by to get him. By then, we had spent 3 afternoons in the pool house, 3 long rehearsals where we'd damn well nailed down arrangements to a dozen songs of Vernon's that he could sing the hell out of. At the last rehearsal, when I mentioned the idea of his performing with us at the Longhorn, he said he'd think about it. Given how powerfully he'd been singing, I took that as a yes. He says no, Cynthia told us when we arrived to the house the night of the gig. I'll go back and talk to him, I said. I even brought a wheelchair to make it easier for him. He asked that you not go back there. He asked that you respect his privacy. What do you think is going on with him, Cynthia? A lot. I think he woke up something inside him that's been asleep for a long time. But it's a positive thing, I said. His creative juices are flowing again. Flowing so strong they might even be a little scary. You don't think it'd do him good to play in front of people? This isn't about what I think, said Cynthia. It's what Vernon thinks. I don't have to tell you he's been through hell. For a long time he's been hiding from his feelings. His music is beautiful, but his music brings back all of those feelings. And now, learning how he's been swindled, he has a whole bunch of new feelings to contend with. I saw Cynthia's point. I knew she was right. At the same time, I had my heart set on seeing him sing in front of a crowd. I was sure the crowd would love him, and that love would make him feel great, or at least make me feel great. On second thought, maybe I was thinking more about myself than him. It wasn't about making me feel good. It was about making Vernon feel good. And if Cynthia was right, as I suspected she was, right now he wasn't feeling good at all. He was feeling confused. Best to leave him alone. We went on and played the Longhorn that night and the night after. The crowd was large and enthusiastic. I played my best, but my mind was elsewhere. I couldn't stop thinking about Vernon and how this same crowd would react to him. In my gut, I just knew it'd be good for him to get the recognition he deserved. Where's your wheelchair singer? Asked Dewey Groom. After all his objections, he sounded halfway disappointed. He's under the weather. Another time. I see where that singer, the one you said stole his songs, is coming to Fort Worth. What are you talking about? Bambi Love, isn't she the one? What about Bambi Love? Something about her doing a special Christmas Eve concert at Leonard's department store. What? From what I hear, Nutsy Perkins is promoting the whole thing. He got old man J.M. Leonard to turn part of the store into a stage, right back there by the toy department. It's going to be a huge event. I don't believe it, I said. You don't have to, but from what I understand, Nutsy once did Leonard a solid, and now Leonard's paying him back. That just didn't compute. Nutsy Perkins wasn't a music promoter. He probably never even heard of Bambi Love till I told him the story. Of course, Ranger Roy Finkelstein, who ran the record dump, knew how popular she was. Was Ranger Roy behind the whole thing? But why would he encourage Nutsy to do this? A quick way to make a buck? A way to spite me? It made no sense. I didn't get it. Something wasn't right. In all probability, Dewey got it wrong. Dewey, who liked his liquor, wasn't always the most reliable source of accurate information. The more I thought about it, the more I knew it couldn't be true. And now the next chapter is called The Story Behind the Story. I ripped the poster off the telephone pole, put it in my car, and made the drive from Fort Worth to Dallas in record time. I was going to see Vernon. The poster, in Christmas colors of green and red, had large screaming letters that said, "One night only, Christmas Eve, America's newest sweetheart, Miss Bambi Love, Leonard's department store, 2nd floor." By the time I arrived at the home of Cynthia and Ryan Smith, I had all my arguments lined up. "He still doesn't want to see you," said Cynthia. "Has he seen this?" I asked, showing her the poster. She read it quickly and said, "I don't think so." "They've also been advertising it on the radio," I said. "Vernon doesn't listen to the radio." I think he needs to listen to me. I really do. I don't see how hearing about this is going to make him feel any better. I do, I said. How? I want him there, I said with so much conviction, I even surprised myself. He'll never do it. He doesn't want to see her. What's the point? I think I can make him see the point. I just need to talk to him. Cynthia hesitated for several seconds. She still wasn't convinced. You know me well enough to see that I mean the guy no harm, I said. I've been on a long mission to help him. And you want the mission to end with him being hurt? That's not what I want. Well, what do you want, Willie? She asked me. I know this is some pet project of yours, but as far as I can see, all you're doing is opening old wounds. Wounds causing him terrible pain. He's had enough pain, I agree. Then why cause him more? I'm not. I don't understand what you're really up to. I don't see your plan. I can't explain it now, but if you let me go back and talk to him, I can make him understand. More silence, more hesitation on Cynthia's part. She closed her eyes. She sighed. She opened her eyes and said, Look, he's an adult. He can make up his own mind. Go back there, knock on the door, but I can't guarantee he'll let you in, or if he does, if he'll even listen to you. I went back, I knocked on the door, he answered. I usually don't like confrontation. I avoid them whenever I can. Don't like folks getting in my face, and I don't like getting in theirs. Most confrontations don't accomplish a damn thing. All they do is promote more bad feelings. I knew better than to confront Vernon. I've been thinking about you, buddy, was all I said. You've been thinking about me too much. You're probably right. Then stop. I will. I don't want to be anybody's cause, he said. Don't want to be anybody's charity case. I understand. Do you really? Yes, indeed, I assured him. Then what the hell are you doing here, he asked. I'm here to discuss something else entirely. What? Chili rice? Okay, next is a page at the title. It says Fort Worth Star-Telegram. And the headline is Record Producer Accused of Theft. On the morning before this evening's much-anticipated concert at Leonard's department store, singer Bambi Love and her manager, Jack Slick Walters, were slapped with a copyright violation lawsuit alleging that 8 songs released by Love and purportedly written by Love and Walters are in fact near-carbon copies of compositions penned by Love's former bandleader, Vernon Clay. Attorney Norby B. Green, who successfully defended Nathan Nutsy Perkins against charges of grand larceny in a celebrated case earlier this year, filed the papers on behalf of Mr. Clay. This is an instance where the thievery is as audacious as it is obvious, said Green. What makes this especially grievous is that it occurred not simply once, but 8 separate times. I see this as an open and shut case. If it goes to trial, which I rather doubt, I expect justice to be rendered quickly. The guilty parties will pay, and pay dearly. The lawsuit cites damages and asks that the copyrights be reassigned to Clay and asks for damages of $100,000. After being served papers, the singer and producer had no comment before leaving Fort Worth and canceling Love's appearance at Leonard's tonight. A spokesman for Leonard's, however, did say that the Christmas Eve concert would go on as scheduled with several surprise guests. And the next chapter, it's on the pink paper, so we know this is going to be Vernon's words, and it's titled Christmas Eve. I'm writing this with green ink on bright red paper. I'm writing it so that no matter what happens to me, I'll have this memory. I'm writing it so I can come back and relive it whenever I want to. I'm writing it down, every detail I can remember, so that evening, the best of my life, will live forever. I'd always seen the Christmas season as the worst time of the year. It was a time that I dreaded, a time when I lost my parents, my grandmother, Jill, and Vicky. I never thought I'd live to see Christmas as anything but a dark season of death. So, how could my attitude ever change? How could I ever come to love a season I had so long hated? Let me explain. Let me start out by remembering the super strong aroma of chili rice. When I was told that Chester and Essie had been hired to make big vats of Grandma's recipe, enough to feed an army of Christmas shoppers, I knew it was time to drop my resistance and go with the flow of the good things coming my way. Strange as it may seem, I'd never been inside Leonard's. All those months of hawking my pretty paper outside the store, and yet not once did I venture in. Maybe it's 'cause I didn't feel I belonged, or maybe 'cause I was scared I'd be kicked out or stepped over. The reasons don't matter now, 'cause it felt extra special to roll myself through those front doors in a wheelchair that had my name in glitter letters written across the back. Still nervous, still unsure of what would happen, I expected to face strangers, but instead, I was greeted by Chester and Essie, who gave me big smiles and big hugs, and right off thanked me for getting them the biggest catering gig of their life. I tried to explain that it wasn't me. It was my friends, but Essie wasn't having it. All Essie could say was, "It's all you. Look at all the good you've done." The first floor of Leonard's was decked out with hundreds of white streamers that shimmered like icicles. Huge lacy cutouts in the shape of snowflakes dangled down from the ceiling. Excited customers shared the aisles with 4 separate roving groups of Christmas carolers singing, "God rest ye merry gentlemen," "Silent Night," "Deck the halls," and "Oh, come all ye faithful." The elevator, decorated with candy canes and mistletoe, opened to the second floor, where a 30-foot giant Christmas tree was aglow with 1,000 silver fairies of princesses and glistening gold star on top. I followed my friends. They were all there, Cynthia and Ryan and even Cynthia's parents, Virginia and Reggie. Willie was there, and so was Brother Paul and the rest of the band, along with the lawyer I'd just met yesterday, Norby Green. Nutsy Perkins and Ranger Roy Finkelstein, the guys who introduced me to Norby, were there to cheer me on and join the swelling crowd of well-wishers accompanying me to the stage built in the middle of the toy department, right next to Santa's workshop with its dozens of elf and reindeer dolls. There came Santa himself riding in on a special monorail Leonard's had set up for the Christmas season. Underneath the red suit and beard, I saw it. It was Big Bill from the Big Bill's Bar. So it was shiny-nosed Santa Bill who pushed me on stage and sent me in front of the microphone. In his booming voice, Santa Bill said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you didn't know it, but this is the gift you've been waiting for. This is the best gift you're gonna get this Christmas or any Christmas to come. This is a very special, very talented, very great singer and songwriter. So say Merry Christmas to Mr. Vernon Clay." The crowd shouted out, "Merry Christmas, Vernon!" And bells started ringing, and chimes started chiming, and Willie, wearing a silly Santa cap and smiling, that sly smile of his, kicked off Faith, and I sang it with tears streaming down my cheeks, wishing only that my grandmother were there to see everything I was seeing and feel everything I was feeling, because as I kept singing the songs that were born out of my soul, Wild Country Night and Dreamin' in Blue and Something You Got and Leavin' Ain't the Last Thing on My Mind and all the others, I knew I wouldn't be there except for that woman's devotion. The music I've made, the tunes I've written, the trips I've taken, the stories I've written on this pretty paper, even the 2 women I've loved, none of it would be possible if I hadn't been loved by a grandmother who, just by being herself, taught me love. And then there's a little picture of the Santa hat that I guess Willie was wearing that night. It's love that I was feeling on that Christmas Eve. Love that I was singing about in all of my songs. Love that was flying up there in my direction and smacking me in the face. Love from all the folks stomping and shouting, calling out my name. "Vernon, Vernon, Vernon, Vernon." Yet, even in the midst of so much beautiful excitement and beautiful music, even being surrounded by the holiday joy and heartfelt prayers for peace on earth and goodwill toward men, underneath it all, I could still sense the soul of the littlest angel who wasn't there that night except in spirit. And I heard her spirit. I heard her voice. I heard her singing, as she will always sing, sweetly and softly. Rain, rain, go away, come back another day. Little Vicky wants to play, so please make everything okay. That's it. That's the end. So that's a happy ending. I guess he was able to get over all that pain and find a way to live on. As I mentioned before, I really enjoy Willie's books. I think Willie's a good man. I admire him. So here's a couple other reading ideas from some of his books that I have read. And then we'll close out with a little snippet from one of the concerts we went to. We were able to see him a few years ago here at Avila Beach. And we're so glad we did. And as of 2023, he's still alive and kicking. So hope you enjoyed the book, guys. I'll keep it on the playlist, so if you ever want to hear it again for the holidays, you know where to find it. Take care. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
If I can't keep my head held high enough, I'll just speak love and watch the smiles come.
Thanks for
Bring
watching.
my spirits up.
Don't forget to stop and smell the flowers.
There's some shit I like to fix, but I still